So I just got back from dumping off some cardboard at the recycling center in town, and it's literally negative 22 degrees right now. It is extremely cold. And on my little trip, I developed some thoughts that I wanted to share with everybody because it's very clear to me that most people are very unprepared, even in the sense of just daily challenges. Like, I can't even believe that it's negative 22 degrees outside right now, and people are driving around in pajamas and wearing slippers, and they have t-shirts on, and it's just ridiculous to me, right? So if you're preparing for the end of the world, or you're preparing for a natural disaster, or you're preparing just for some kind of personal financial SHTF type situation, how can you consider yourself prepared for anything if you can't do the bare minimum and just get fully dressed based on the environment that you're going to interact with that day, right? Right now I'm fully suited up. I've got fleece-lined pants on that are weather resistant. I've got insulated boots, merino wool socks. I've got a hoodie above a shirt, which is underneath this down jacket. I'm wearing a neck gaiter, beanie. I've got gloves and everything else because that's what you need to have when it's negative 22 degrees outside. We don't have any guarantee that nothing bad is going to happen. And everybody who's talking about the EMP or a possible World War III scenario or a nuclear blast or anything catastrophic like that should definitely look in the mirror and at least be aware of the fact of whether or not they're just ready for the normal day, right? According to many of the people I ran into this morning, there's zero possibility of having a flat tire, right? There's zero possibility of negative 22 degrees somehow, I don't know, draining their battery and making their car unusable. There's a lot of reasons why you would think in negative 22 degrees people would be more prepared, but unfortunately they're not. I can't even believe that someone would leave their house in a t-shirt, sweatpants, and slippers in negative 22 degrees. There's a lot of hubris when it comes to this stuff, right? People have this weird sense of pride when it comes to the cold and being able to bear it, right? Like, oh, you know, I don't really feel the cold. I'm not too worried about it. Do you think that same sense of hubris is going to apply during like a catastrophic emergency? Are you going to just walk out in the middle of a nuclear fallout dust cloud and be like, yeah, well, it doesn't really bother me too much, so I'm not worried about wearing any protective gear, right? Because, you know, I'm pretty tough, so no big deal, right? It doesn't make any sense, you know? If you can't be ready for a common occurrence, which would be a vehicle breakdown, how can you possibly be ready or willing to survive something much more catastrophic? And then you have to start thinking about the fact that these people are, in many ways, the majority. All you have to do, if you're me, you know this first person, right? But all you have to do is go to a parent pickup in the middle of negative 22 degrees Fahrenheit, and you'll see that 90% of the parents there are not properly dressed for the occasion. Nobody's ready for the possibility of a vehicle breakdown. Nobody's ready for the possibility of an EMP, and suddenly no vehicles are running and no one has heat or anything else, and there's no power anywhere. Nobody's ready for anything. They're literally relying on these mechanical man-made objects to be infallible. And I think that's a ridiculous concept to operate with, right? Your car can break down. You can get a flat tire. These things are very common knowledge, and yet people are unwilling to do the bare minimum of just getting fully dressed. How do you think they'll react to an actual SHTF scenario? They're going to literally lose their minds, and they're going to become very dangerous very fast. And not only are these people unprepared, they are extremely unprepared. They are unwilling to prepare at the bare minimum of just daily routine. So that should tell you how unprepared they'll be for anything even bigger, right? This whole thing, when it pops off or whatever it is that we're anticipating, is going to be very eye-opening for those who aren't even willing to put on a pair of shoes in the morning in negative 22 degrees Fahrenheit. And I keep referencing that because this is extreme weather. This is an extreme condition, and this is just part of where I live. So being that it is part of where I live, I feel you should be properly prepared for it, right? So you have the ability to be outside in this environment in case your vehicle or whatever you're assuming is going to keep you warm fails you, right? When I go pick up my kids at school, they are wearing full winter gear. I'm wearing full winter gear. And that way, if on our drive back to the property, we lose power, we lose our heat, we lose our vehicle, or whatever happens, there's a car accident, right? Because those things happen. People slide out and hit snow embankments on a regular basis. If any of those things happen, we can get out of the car and, in worst case scenario, probably walk pretty far before that extreme cold actually really sets in. So, and look, it happens very fast. Don't let me try to lie to you about how quickly that'll set in. But all I'm trying to say is that I can be out in this weather for an extended period of time if need be, if completely necessary, because I have the proper attire on. I got fully dressed today. I didn't just think that everything in the universe is going to line up perfectly to allow me to come out here, jump in my truck with my Cookie Monster pajama pants on, and walk around in my fleece slippers and feel okay with my tank top, right? I, I just don't understand. I really just don't understand. There's so much faith put into these systems and so much faith put into the fact that nothing can go wrong, that when it does, these people are going to completely fall apart. I guarantee you, the same people who don't even wear clothes on a day like today don't even have jumper cables either, right? They don't have the bare minimum of being able to keep their vehicle up and running either. Like, they don't have redundancies, right? They're not wearing the pajamas out in negative 22 degrees because they have a propane heater in their vehicle and they have jumper cables in case their battery dies and they have a tire reinflation kit in case they get a flat. They don't have any of those things either. They might have a spare tire that's been there because the manufacturer was nice enough to put it there, but some of them might not even have that. And many of them, I guarantee you, have never even once checked it to see if it's even inflated or not. So, look, I might be going on a rant today, but I just can't believe how unwilling people are to prepare for the basic challenges that we all can admit are real. These things really happen. A car breaks down sometimes. It's crazy, I know. And in negative 22 degrees, that could be a life-threatening situation. You'd think it'd be worth putting on a sweatshirt at least, right? Sorry, I just needed to get this off my chest and remind you that these unprepared people are overly unprepared, completely unprepared, and unwilling to do anything at the bare minimum to be prepared. And then when things go south, those same people are going to want to blame someone else for their problems, and they're going to blame anyone else who's more prepared than them, and they're going to become really dangerous, really fast, because they've never been uncomfortable. So how could they possibly deal with this new level of discomfort that they have suddenly thrown upon them? I also want to just make sure I show everybody this because, look, I ain't lying to you about the temperature here. We're going to go ahead and switch the camera real quick. And there you have it. And yeah, my tire pressure is low. Why do you think that is? Because it's negative 22 degrees. I also got to say a big thank you to Midway USA for being the biggest supporter of the channel. They obviously offer cold weather gear and everything else like that. So there's other ways for people to get ready besides just wearing pajamas. But in negative 22 degrees, things just happen. It's just very, very cold, okay? And look, I know where I live. That's just part of the deal. Whatever. I'm not mad about it. I moved here. I understood the extremities that I'd be facing in the sense of the weather. But I'm also willing to wear layers, a down jacket, a net gaiter, a beanie, gloves, lined pants, merino wool socks, insulated boots, everything. I wear everything. I get up early so I can make sure I'm fully prepared for this type of environment. And the worst part about it is the hubris aspect, because you get the pride that gets injected into the situation. And there are literally people who have given me crap about what I wear because, it's not even that cold. Like, why are you wearing that heavy jacket? It's only 8 degrees out. It's not even that as cold as it can get. Because I don't want to be uncomfortable. I don't care. I don't have pride to the point where I'm unwilling to admit that I'd rather be warm than cold. So lose the hubris, lose the pride, and lose the laziness, which is what a lot of this is, right? A lot of it's just straight laziness. I'm too lazy to get dressed, so I'm just going to go risk it and hopefully not freeze to death. Not a good strategy, just my opinion. Wanted to have this conversation because I think it's something you should be aware of in the sense of the people that are going to be out there when things really go down.